Welcome to Inspiration and Transformation from the Banks of the Ganga with Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati, an American sannyasi living at the Parmarth Niketan ashram in Rishikesh, India. Sadhvi is president of the Divine Shakti Foundation, a charitable organization bringing education, vocational training, upliftment, and empowerment programs to women and children. Sadhvi is also Secretary General of the Global Interfaith Wash Alliance and Director of the world-famous International Yoga Festival. Join the musings of an American sannyasi as Sadhvi shares the wisdom and teachings of her guru, His Holiness Pujya Swami Chidanand Saraswatiji.
Welcome everyone to Inspiration and Transformation from the holy banks of the sacred Ganga River in the land of Rishikesh, India. There's different aspects of who we are. We have a physical body, a size, a shape, a color, a race, a religion, a history, skills and abilities that are associated with that, whether they're directly connected to my size and shape, like the basketball player example, or whether they're simply connected to my history. Have I spent my life learning to play the piano? Or have I never sat in front of a piano? Did I grow up in a family where I was pushed to become a math star or not? So skills and abilities are going to be based on experiences that I've had, as well as aspects of the physical body. The brain is also part of the physical body. Now, as we grow, we get different impressions on that through different experiences that we've had, what we grow up in. If I grow up in a family of doctors, or a family of engineers, or a family of business people, it's very likely that I will begin at least a large part of my life sort of thinking, well, that's the direction I'm going to go. I may later decide to change my mind. And you certainly have stories of people who came from completely different types of families who go in those directions. But we tend to have ideas and values and ethics and patterns based on that which we've experienced. That forms our brain, part of our physical body. Individual. We want the same thing, but we've had all of these different experiences that are going to give it to us in a different way. Some of us may have been born and raised to believe that happiness is going to come in, a Big Mac and fries. Like if that's what our family was focused on, if it was Friday nights at McDonald's, like this was the family gathering. And every other night of the week was miserable, and mom and dad fought, and we got yelled at or beaten or whatever it might have been. But Friday nights, we all went out for Big Macs and fries, and it was ecstatic. I could have a very deep impression in my mind that happiness comes from a Big Mac and fries. Or certainly from food, certainly around a food experience. That's where happiness comes. Somebody else is raised in a family where happiness comes from going shopping, right? Maybe that's how my mom or my dad dealt with their depression and anxiety. They went shopping, bought new things, came home, showed them off, felt better. They'd be miserable, would say, I'm going shopping, would come home and would feel better. Now my brain has actually formed with these, what we call sanskaras, these impressions of where happiness comes from. Maybe every night after the lights were turned out, my brother beat me, or sexually abused me. And I grow up afraid of the dark. In my mind, darkness means pain. So I grow up with this sense of fear of the dark. Now, all of these are what I call of the body, because they are things that have impacted either my physical body, neck down, or the impressions in my brain, the neural networks in my brain, the patterning, the programming, the associations, the pathways in the brain, in the mind, whether we say sanskaras or neural networks or patterns. Physical body, we're all different. Different experiences, different bodies, therefore different skills, different abilities, different paths. But then you have the part which is soul, which is spirit. We've got so many also other ones, but we'll talk just about these two for now. Soul, spirit. That's what I call content. You've got form and you've got content. Form is the physical body. Content is soul and spirit, essence. That's the same. That's the ocean. Each wave is different. Some are big, some are small. Depending on where they crash, there's going to be a lot of white water or no white water. Some of them are kind of normal waves, some are more riptide waves, some are tsunamis. All types of different waves. If we had a surfer in the audience, I'm sure they could give us a whole list of, they've got all kinds of lingo of what type of wave it was. Different forms. But the content is ocean. In the same way, our content is soul, spirit, consciousness, divinity. And when that takes a form, like the drop evaporates and falls somewhere and is returning to the ocean in a specific form, or rising in the ocean as a wave, the content doesn't change. It's still ocean, but the form changes. And so those are two aspects of who we are. And of course we have other what we would call bodies intermediary between those. We won't go into all of them now, but we have subtle body, for example. What we call man, buddhi, ahankar. The mind, the intellect, the ego, aspects of the subtle body. Not quite the physical body and the impressions, not the soul. So on one level, we are different. On another level, we are indistinguishable. On our energetic level, we are interconnected. We are whirling, twirling electrons. Mine may be whirling around atoms that are kind of over here, that travel in this group of atoms. Your electrons are whirling in atoms that travel in that group. But as we come together, our electrons are whirling and twirling, and we're feeling each other energetically. It's a whole other way of connecting. We're neither separate, nor are we indistinguishable from each other like ocean. Energetic body. So there's all these different beautiful levels in which we are individual and one. And living in the awareness of all of that is actually the point and is the opportunity. It's not either or, it's yes and. Yes, I have this body, I have this history, I have these skills, I have these abilities, I have this individual dharma of this body, this history, this family, this race, this religion, this opportunity. And I am soul. I'm spirit. I'm divine. Never separate. Impossible to separate. And those are just a few of the many, many levels of our existence. And we just get deeper and deeper. And our spiritual experience becomes a dance. Because you can go too much in one way or the other way. You can go too much in the it's all soul and watch a child die of starvation in front of you and just tell yourself, well, I mean, it's all soul. That's an illusion. It's all perfect. And we can miss this very human experience of knowing that we are meant to feed that child. That we are meant to bend down and give a hand to someone who has fallen and needs a hand to get up. And sometimes we can get overwhelmed in that. Oh my God, there are so many kids to feed. Oh my God, there are so many who have fallen. How can I possibly help them all up? And we get overwhelmed. And that's when we realize, oh wait, it's all soul. It's all spirit. It's all divinity. It's all perfect. And then there's another hungry child. And we feed her. And we move in this dance between having the joy of intersecting with, interacting with the physical creation, the fragrance of flowers, the feeling of rain pouring down on us, mountain air, a bath in Ganga, a hot cup of tea, a cool glass of water, a hug, beautiful music. Interacting with this beautiful creation that we are meant to interact with. And we dance back into the awareness that actually we're not separate from it. It's all soul. They're all waves on the ocean. And then we dive deep into the depths of the ocean where there are no waves. There's no flower, tree, person, this, me. We're all just one. And then we emerge. And we smell the jasmine. And we hear the birds singing. And it's this beautiful dance between the appreciation of the form, the awareness of the responsibility of the form, and the experience and awareness and consciousness of the content that is ultimately formless.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of Om Times Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going Om. My passion is sifting through information, research and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers and researchers pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
If I could be you,
and you could be me,
for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside
each other's mind
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out, and for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Welcome back to Inspiration and Transformation. I'm so glad to have you all back here with me. What is work toward the goal? Achieve the goal or don't achieve the goal. Either way, the ego gets involved. The only way around that is to realize you're not the doer. See, if it's about you, then I achieved it, I'm achieving it, I'm so great. I'm not achieving it, I'm useless, I'm worthless. I am achieving it, I'm perfect and wonderful and smart and powerful, and see, I've manifested it. I'm not achieving it. I'll never achieve anything. I'm not good enough. Not something else enough, not smart enough, not spiritual enough, not deserving enough. See, it's all about me. So of course the ego is going to be involved. The key is, realize that you are just an instrument. In the same way that I use this microphone as an instrument, and as absolutely absurd as it would be after a lecture, or if I could sing a song, for the microphone to stand up and take a bow, right? You're just the instrument. Like, she was the singer, or she gave the talk. Well, it's just as ridiculous for me to feel like, what a song I sang. What a lecture I gave. Because I'm also just an instrument. There's a beautiful story, true story. I wasn't there, but Puja Swamiji was there. He shares it, of a beautiful spiritual master who's no longer in his body anymore, but who passed away at just almost 100 a few years ago. And he and Puja Swamiji were in the United Nations together maybe 30, 35 years ago. And it was a large event at the UN. And all of the speakers were allowed 3 minutes, 5 minutes, and at a place like the UN, they're really particular. And so there's somebody sitting right in the front with a card that says 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, time over, stop now, And this other master was speaking, and his 1 minute left, 30 seconds left, time over, stop now. And the person holding the cards is getting really restless because he's talking and talking, and they're holding like, stop now, stop now. He's in ecstasy, giving this beautiful talk. And he goes on for 20-something minutes. And at the end, he gets a standing ovation. His name was Dada Vaswani. And he gets a standing ovation. He and Puja Swamiji were very, very, very close, like brothers of the heart. And when he walks off the stage, everybody's telling him, oh, what a speech, that was so beautiful. And he says, yes, wasn't it? I was also listening. Right? So, no ego. Standing ovation at the UN. No ego. Yeah, I was also listening. Wasn't it great? He's an instrument. Something was being spoken through him. In the same way that the microphone wouldn't automatically shut off just because the person held up a sign that said stop. Well, he was just the microphone for God. Why would he pay any attention to a woman with a sign? He's God's microphone. Just an instrument. And this is the only way to be free of ego, is to just realize I'm an instrument. And that which is happening through me is happening because of God's grace. It's beautiful, it's success, wonderful. Didn't work so well? Okay. Something with the instrument, or something with the situation, or something with the electricity, or whatever it is. Right? So you realize I'm just an instrument. And then the ego doesn't get involved. It's happening through you. The key and the challenge is doing it in both times of success and also times of failure. Tends to be easier in times of failure. I guess the universe didn't want it to happen. But success, look at me, I did it. But it only works when you can actually do it in both. And so you find yourself full of gratitude to the divine. There's a beautiful mantra in the Bhagavad Gita that says, Yat karoshi yadashnasi, yajjahoshi dadasi yad, yat tapasyasi konteya, tat kurushva madarpanam. And it means offer everything to God. Who you are, what you do, what you eat, what you mean, even all of the sadhana you do, all your meditation, all your yagnas, every way that you help other beings, everything you do, offer it to God. Just let your life be an offering. That's the goal.
The Real Conscious Connection. Om Times Radio. IOM FM. Om Times Magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organization, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Om Times, co-creating a more conscious lifestyle.
More than 24 million Americans have an autoimmune disorder, and that number continues to grow. I'm Sharon Saylor, and I'm one of those 24 million. To put that number in perspective, cancer affects about 9 million and heart disease up to 22 million. That's why I've brought together top experts and those thriving regardless of their diagnosis to bring you the latest, most up-to-date information. Join me, Sharon Saylor, Friday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the Autoimmune Hour on Life Interrupted Radio to find out how to live your life uninterrupted.
You came across someone struggling with hunger. How would you recognize them? Would you notice an 8-year-old girl who's not excited for summer break
because she may not be having lunch again until September?
Or a war veteran who's having a hard time landing a job
and getting back on his feet?
I am the 1 in 8 Americans who struggle with hunger. I am hunger in America.
Hunger can be hard to recognize. Learn why at IamHungerInAmerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. Is the meaning of the ego that we lose our identity? Well, the ego has an identity of itself. We lose the true identity in the curated identity. So here's how it works. First of all, it's important to realize the ego itself is not the enemy. The ego is formed when we are young. It's actually a very good thing. If you look at little kids, they have no idea where they end and the world begins. Everything is theirs. If you study child development, there's very specific markers of child development where they learn aspects of how they differentiate from the world. Prior to that, you have to say things to them like, don't eat those cookies. Those are Mike's cookies. You ate all your cookies already. See, that plate of cookies is Mike's plate of cookies. You don't get to take them. They are not yours. If you want them, you have to ask Mike for a cookie. It is his, not yours. Because they don't get it. All cookies, theirs. Somebody else's plate, no problem. It's all mine. As we get more and more socialized, as we develop more of a sense of ego, we learn how to navigate our way through the world. It's very helpful in socialization. It's very helpful in making sure that we are all individuated, respectful, responsible members of society. We don't steal. We don't harm. We understand this is me, that is you. I only have agency and autonomy over this, not over you. I don't get to grab you, right? When there are children who are developmentally challenged in a variety of different ways, what you see is they don't know that. So there's inappropriate grabbing, touching, speaking, because they don't realize where they end and the universe begins. As they grow, you end up with people who, if they really haven't developed a proper sense, you end up with psychopaths or sociopaths without an ability to actually understand how another person can feel. To understand that just because I want to have sex with you right now doesn't mean I can take you and pin you to the ground and rape you. Because I understand you have a right to autonomy. And what I want does not give me the right to take it. A lot of the criminals in the world, the violent criminals in the world, suffer from some form of psychopathy, sociopathy, the sense of being unable to experience empathy, being unable to put themselves in someone else's shoes, being unable to understand that even though they may seem like very normal people, but they haven't actually learned to properly differentiate their sense of responsibility in this global society. So it's actually a very useful aspect of growth. The ego is not the enemy. The dilemma comes when we move beyond simply being socialized, and now we want to be awakened and God realized and have samadhi and moksha. We don't want to be just responsible citizens of society. We don't want to just not steal someone else's cookies or rape or harm somebody. We want to actually experience and know God. Well, then we have to begin to let go of the ego. Then it's no longer, I end here, you begin there. But it's an awareness that there's no place I end and you begin. Not that that means I'm entitled to your cookies or your body, but an awareness, because I've come through the ego socialization, an awareness actually that even though I have a body, I'm not the body, I am spirit. I'm soul. I'm divinity, as are you. We are not separate. The same spirit that runs through me runs through you. And that's where our spiritual path starts really blossoming. But that's where the ego becomes a hindrance. Because the ego has taught us to see ourselves and others as separate objects. It's taught us to identify self here and others by that. And so then we start to transcend the ego, to no longer be confined by it. But it is an important aspect first of our growth. So it's like something we do a lot of tree plantation here. Puja Swamiji is very, very committed to environmental protection, to abating climate change, to doing whatever we can for the planet. And when you plant trees, you have to put a tree guard around the tree. Otherwise, the monkeys eat it, or the dogs eat it, or the cows eat it. And the sapling can't live, gets gobbled up. But once that sapling actually grows its roots in the ground, and it goes from being a sapling to being a tree, well, then monkeys can swing on its branches without harming it. Dogs come and pee on it. Cows lie in its shade, and it doesn't matter. Because that tree is firm. You no longer need a tree guard around it. It has outgrown the tree guard. And I think of the ego sort of in that way, that it serves a purpose as we are growing to help us grow in a way that understands this is who I am, this is what I'm becoming. But once I actually develop a real sense of anchoring and grounding, roots in myself, well, then I don't need a tree guard to tell me who I am. I don't need an ego identifying me based on body or roles or history. Then I move beyond that. And that's how it works. So it prevents you from knowing your true, higher spiritual identity and keeps you confined to knowing the identity of this small self.
The future of internet radio is here. Om Times Radio, IOM FM.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. ascendinghearts.com.
This is Kathy Beal, host of Celestial Compass, featuring astrology you can use. Celestial Compass points you to what's going on in the sky and what you can do with it down here on Earth. We also explore fun, effective, and cosmic tools for navigating this adventure we call life. Join me the first and third Monday of the month at 5 p.m. Eastern Time for Celestial Compass. It's enlightening, entertaining, and empowering.
Every 2 minutes, an American is sexually assaulted. The majority of victims know their attacker. It could be your friend, your neighbor, or someone you met at a party. If you said no, it's rape, and it's a crime. This is Christina Ricci with RAIN. Call the National Sexual Assault Hotline today at 1-800-656-HOPE or visit rain.org. That's RAINN.org.
Brought to you by Rain and this station.
Welcome back. This is Sadhvi Bhagawati Saraswati with inspiration and transformation. How can I serve the greater good? There's so many ways, so many layers, so many levels of serving. People to be fed, trees to be planted, schools to be built, kids to be educated, sick people to be treated. There's so much to be done. And yet, if we go at it like that, we end up incredibly frustrated and not actually that effective. Because then we're constantly running from thing to thing. Instead, the way to really serve is on two levels. Number one, to show up as your truest, highest, fullest self. Most of us, as we move through the world in an identity, right? We act in certain ways around people. We don't really show our full self. We move as an object, a certain size, a certain shape, a certain color, a certain race, a certain religion, certain gender, certain career, certain bank account. And as we objectify ourselves, we see the world as objects. Sizes, shapes, colors, careers, bank accounts. Everyone becomes an object. Someone either who I can use, someone who can benefit my path, a potential partner, a potential friend, someone I'm going to be able to get ahead with, potential sexual partner, someone I can get some sensual pleasure from, or as some kind of a hindrance, a burden, an obstacle. Someone I need to remove from my path, someone who is blocking me in some way from getting what I want. We see ourselves as objects and then we see others as objects. And it's how we move through the world. And the tragedy of that is A, we never experience the truth of who we really are. And B, we're not actually able to connect with others in any kind of meaningful way. One of the greatest gifts you can give to the world, forget a gift to yourself, but just even if you're only thinking about a gift to the world, is to show up from your place of soul. When you sit and you stand and you show up as soul, it creates a space for other people to come into. If I walk into a place as an object, right, I am the boss, or I am the scared one, or I am this, I'm in charge, or I'm this, I'm that. If I walk in full of my story, my identity, my self-objectification, I'm throwing you into your objectification. If you think about times when we are in situations where people walk in with very strong identities, teacher, student, boss, employee. The more someone plays their role, embodies and inhabits their role, the more we get stuck into our role. Right? Someone's going to play the boss, you play the employee. Someone plays the helpless employee, you play the boss. We step into roles and we miss the opportunity to actually experience who we are without the role. Now, that doesn't mean that we dismantle our systems of functioning. It doesn't mean we don't have teachers and students and bosses and employees and policemen and firemen and, all of the different roles that people play. We have them. It's fine. But if you, as you are playing your role, can simultaneously be deeply aware of the one playing the role, then you invite others to also be aware of themselves playing the role. So for example, let's say we decide to do a play, a drama, right? Parmarth drama, okay? And we're gonna open a drama wing, and we decide we're gonna put on, a Shakespeare play. Okay? We all get given roles, and somebody gets our costumes, and big performance. Now, I may be in the costume of the role I'm playing, and others are in the costumes of the role they're playing, and we get onto stage and we do it beautifully. And yet, every once in a while, even on stage, even in the midst of playing our role, you catch each other's eye for just a second. Something that the audience would never notice, just a second. And there's just a flicker like, Preeti, I see you in that Othello costume. Like, I know that's you. Just a second. That you know the actor. Yeah, your role is responding to their role. Here we are doing the play. But there's also this very subtle sense of, yeah, I see you in there. Isn't this fun? We're playing Othello. And the moment we get off the stage, even if we have to stay in our costumes for the next act, or if we're doing, a kind of meet and greet after the play, so we stay in our costumes, well, we go back to who we are. Because we know I am the actor, not the role. I've got this costume on, I'm saying these lines, but I never actually forget and think I am that person. Right? You never ever hear stories of somebody who plays the role of a murderer in some movie or play and actually goes home and kills his family because he forgot. Even professional actors, award-winning actors, the minute cut, they know. And even if before cut, even in the middle of a performance, if their family had come to the play, sitting in the front row, and suddenly in the middle of an award-winning performance, you hear your family member scream and you think, oh my God, something's wrong. Well, is the actor going to stay in the role? Of course not. He's going to jump off the stage and see what happened to his wife or kid or her husband. So even when we're in the midst of playing the role, we remember who we are as the actor or the actress. And in life, as we play these roles, as we voluntarily decide, all right, I'll be the mother this time around, or I'll be the daughter this time around, or okay, I'll be the doctor this time around, or the teacher, or I'll play the homeless person. I'll play the injured one who you're going to operate on. We play different roles. And there's a self who isn't the role. And it's critical for us to remember that and to stay anchored in that in the way an actor remembers, even in the midst of playing the role, remembers who they are. And if you can do that, so that whatever role you are playing in this world as your size, shape, color, gender, race, religion, career, bank account, all of the different, character attributes that we get given. If in the midst of that, you can also remember who you are that isn't the role, and anchor in that as well, in the same way that for a quick second, Preeti and I would just look at each other and kind of smile, even as we do our big Shakespearean drama. And you, the audience, might not notice, but we saw it. Just a quick little, yeah, I see you in there. I'm playing my role. I'm doing a good job. You're doing a good job. And yeah. Then we'll have dinner afterwards. If as you move through your life, you can stay anchored in true self and give that twinkle of the eye to as many as you can, wherever you can. The I see you in there. I know that you have this body and you're playing this role, but I see you. It's the greatest gift you can give. To see someone as the truth of who they are is the greatest gift. But in order to be able to do that, you've got to come at it from your place of soul, of truth. And this is why so many spiritual teachers say, your spiritual practice is the greatest gift you can give the world. No, it isn't selfish. No, meditation is not selfish. No, yoga is not selfish. No, taking time for your spiritual practice is not selfish. Because it is that enables you to really give your full gift to the world, which is more than just the role you play. Yes, a fireman, great. Put out fires, save our forests, save people from burning homes, get cats out of trees. It's a great thing. In the role, you're still doing a great job. But if you could also, along with that, know who you are and stay anchored in that soul spirit that's playing the role of the one putting out the fires, it's not that you stop being a fireman. It's that you start to realize who else you are and give other people that opportunity to realize who they are in your presence. And then you also have this very beautiful opportunity to just say to God, use me in whatever way. Okay, from this hour to that hour, I play the role of fireman. But all the rest of the time, and even in the midst of my fireman job, use me. Every minute and every moment, use me, please. Use me as an instrument. Use me as a vehicle, use me as a vessel, use me as one to serve others. And we have no idea what that service is going to look like, because we have no idea what the need is going to be in the present moment. We can't predict who's going to trip and fall in front of us and need a hand up. You can't predict who you're going to bump into, who's going to need what disaster is going to happen, who you're going to pass by on the side of the road. We don't know. So we stay open with just a prayer. Oh God, use me. And I'll tell you one last piece about this. The greatest impediment to you being able to be an instrument in God's hands or one of the greatest impediments, not the greatest. The greatest is probably our own ego and our fear, but an additional great impediment is being stressed and rushed. The simple thing of just being rushed, just being stressed, is actually enough to render us much less effective tools. They did a great study. There's a very, very famous study in psychology about the Good Samaritan, where they do a study of students who are in a seminary, who are actually training to be priests, like people who are dedicating their lives to God, to sharing God, to teaching God, to being one with God. And the students are in the seminary and they've just learned about the Good Samaritan. And then, because it's a study, it's of course being controlled by experimenters, what they do is they create a situation where these students, after learning about the Good Samaritan in class, have to walk down a street in order to get to their next class or wherever they were going from that one class. So they've all got to walk across a street. And the experimenters put a person playing the role of somebody lying on the ground. You don't know, is he hurt? Is he drunk? Is he dead? Is he asleep? We don't know. But lying on the ground, clearly in some kind of trouble, to see what are the circumstances under which students who are dedicating their lives to God, who have just heard the story of the Good Samaritan, have just studied about the one who's helping and giving and caretaking. In what circumstances are they more likely to stop and help this person? And in what situations are they less likely? And what they found is that the single factor of telling the students, oh my God, you're late. This clock is wrong. You don't actually have 10 minutes to get across campus. You've actually only got 3 minutes to get across campus. That simple thing makes students who are dedicated to God, who have just studied the Good Samaritan, you'd think like the most primed people to help another being, simply being told they are late renders most of them unlikely to stop and help somebody. It's enough to take people and make them literally walk over somebody lying on the ground right at their feet, simply because they're in a rush. And so it's a great lesson if you really want to be of service in the world. Yes, of course, first we have to work with our egos. But that's kind of a long process. It's an in-depth, ongoing process. A very, very simple way every moment to make sure that you are going to be much more likely to see the opportunities that the universe presents to you to be of assistance is by stopping rushing, by not being in such a hurry, by slowing down. We say, oh God, give me the opportunity to serve, like these students. But then we literally rush by somebody lying on the ground at our feet because we are rushed. So to whatever extent you can, slow down. You're going to hear and see and receive many more of the opportunities to be of service.
This brings to a close this hour of inspiration and transformation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad to be together with you all each week. And I look forward to being together again next Thursday, same time, on Om Times Radio.